we are looking at how to better understand initiation rites in African culture. I sort of have for you there, just thinking about it, is what are initiation rites in African culture?
Okay. Initiation rite differs from different parts of Africa regions and continent. What I mean is, in the West, they celebrate it differently. In the East, they celebrate differently. South and North, particularly, but in general terms, initiation rite is a kind of growing up ceremony, acceptance into manhood or acceptance into womanhood. What I mean by that is that as you are growing as a person in Africa, it is assumed that you have not grown up if you have not done that initiation process. And to be very frank, in the southern region, they celebrate it differently, where you have the one they call the Izintombis, which is the women growing up to womanhood, which is initiation of the women growing into womanhood on the age of 21. Then that of men also is an initiation of accepting them into manhood, which is also combined with circumcision, coincidentally. They do not just run it without circumcision. They said if you are growing into manhood, then definitely you have to do the circumcision, be circumcised and say you are a man. And that is the one that takes them to the mountains, and you have a professional native doctor who will make sure that when they are cut properly, and at the same time, they do not have or sustain injuries afterwards. That is the way that the southern region celebrate their initiation. So in general terms, initiation in Africa is acceptance into manhood or womanhood. To say you are now a woman, you are now a man, of which there are several advices that will be given to them in such processes. Like the women, they will be advised how to live their life as a woman. They will be advised what to do and what not to do in their husband's house if they get married. They will be advised on mannerism, completely. It's all about their manners in their new homes that they might be assuming maritally. And then that of men, they will also be inducted that now that you have been circumcised, you are expected to begin to look around for a woman to marry if your parents do not have one for you. And you do not just mess around and all that. So it's quite a moral instruction program in Africa.
So you talk of the southern region and also the western region. Can you be more specific on maybe your culture, for example, where you grew up, where you become a man, and where you have an important role? Is there anything you can say about that?
Yes. Where I grew up, which is the eastern part of Africa, the western part of Africa, of course, but I am from the eastern part of it. And when you grow up, when you are being accepted into Okorobia means youth. You are being accepted into Okorobia as a man the moment you have attained the age of 18. And then they will embrace you. You will tie clothes. Obviously, in our side, circumcisions are earlier done than the southern region, because you see some people are being circumcised on 7 days after their birth. They don't even know they were circumcised in the eastern part of in the western East Africa. And the essence of that is to make sure that They do not feel much pains in those circumcision programs. But notwithstanding, South Africa also have their way, why they had to do it on the level of becoming an adult. But going back to the eastern part, the eastern part celebrates and accepts that initiation program. Now you will be accepted to register in several youth meetings. You'll be accepted to enroll with your age group meetings. You'll be accepted in the community as a grown-up child. You will be told what to do. It's also the same moral instruction kind of program, in the sense that the elders, the men, will gather and talk to you and advise you what to do and what not to do, and even promise that if you fail in any of these obligations, you will be dealt with in the western part. It is more serious. You will be dealt with, because that's where you now know that a child is not only for the parents to be trained, but even the neighborhood. So they will jointly watch your behavior and attitude within those times, of which if you are found wanting or probably you misbehave, an elder somewhere, somehow, will correct you either by beating or by flogging. And that is not that maybe they hate you or they probably want you to be punished for nothing or probably humiliate you. No, it is a way to control and make sure that you grow in the right way in that program of initiation.
You did make mention of East and West, but I think you are referring to West Africa. In this case, you are referring to East of Nigeria, correct? So that we can identify the people that we are referring to.
That's correct, and it's generalized actually in Nigeria. But when you say I should, where I grew up from, that was why I mentioned the eastern part. But that function is generalized in Nigeria.
Can you explain to the people if there is anything we can trace as to what is the origin of initiation among the Igbo people, for example? So people, at least we can have something to hold in the hand instead of maybe the whole of West Africa. At least this time we can have a particular people for better investigation. Like, what is the origin of initiation among these people?
Okay, as you know that the Igbo people are Jewish originated, they are referred as the Black Jews. And circumcision is very, very paramount in that case. So when they do circumcision, there are so many things that is beared in mind. First is to exonerate the man from being humiliated, because in that culture of the eastern part of Nigeria, if you are not circumcised, you are not fully a man, and your age mates will be making fun of you. For instance, when you are taking your bath in the river and they see that you're not circumcised, everybody will be laughing and making fun of the shape of your manhood and all that. And when this is done, then you are clean, and you'll be proud to remove your clothes. And in fact, it's a dignifying program in the Igbo land. Any man who is not circumcised is not regarded as a full man. It is assumed that the man will not perform very well. It is assumed that the man is carrying some uncleanliness. It is assumed that the man is not man enough. It is also a kind of humiliating kind of factor. If you see a man that is not circumcised, he won't even be proud enough to remove his clothes or to shower in the public. That is how shameful it is. So it is a very compulsory program for most men in the eastern side. Above all, circumcision has been, even in the Western world, has been seen that the moment you are circumcised, which is the initiation program, you would not contact sicknesses easily. With your manhood as a man, you will not in any way contact mostly the STDs so easily. I'm not saying you cannot, but it is not you are not so vulnerable to it than someone who has not been circumcised.
Yeah.